Live there.
Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete's Anxiety here, the mental health podcast, breaking the stigma that mental health is talked about again. Welcome in today's episode. Before we get started today, we need to cover a few things really quick. Let's talk about the Pete Versus Anxiety Patreon first off. It's only $1, guys. $1. What does $1 get you? $1 gets you into the exclusive episodes I am recording currently. I'm actually focusing on certain different diagnoses of things to show you guys what it actually looks like as it manifests in a person. So why not for $1, judges? Yeah, they said $1. I just checked with them too. See, they said it was okay. It was $1 anyways. Let's also talk about the Oracle Talk Radio Networks app. In case you can't be here live listening to me, watching this video, supporting the show, you can listen to it on the radio app. Why not? It connects us live to our 365 radio. Just go to your app stores and download the Oracle Talk Radio Network. You'll see the big old Oracle Talk Radio Network app logo right on there. Download it and it'll connect you to me, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, to Pete Versus Anxiety when I'm live doing my thing right here, informing the world and raising mental health awareness. So where are you going to be? 10 a.m. Of course. Come on. We just talked about this. Pay attention for once. Damn. Do y'all know how to listen? And as always, guys, like, follow, and share the YouTube channel. If you guys like what you're seeing, leave some comments, man. We want to know. I want to know if you like what on. You want to be on the show? Let me know. Hit me up at PeteVersusAnxietyPod@gmail.com. And as always, guys, enjoy the show. And by the way, did I mention to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure because some of y'all are hard of hearing in the back. May have to yell loud or get a megaphone or something. But anyways, let's get today's show started. Y'all have a great one. Enjoy. Guys, welcome in. It's 10 a.m. You know what time it is? Monday. It's time for Pete Versus Anxiety, the mental health podcast, breaking the stigma that mental health is talked about enough, guys. Hope you had a great weekend this weekend. I know we did. My Chiefs won again. We are still on a roll. Here we go. Before we get started today, as usual, let's talk about a couple things. Let's talk about my nonprofit. Actually, start day one. I'm part of one called Podcast Preventions. And now y'all are wondering, hey, Pete, what's Podcast Preventions? Well, Podcast Preventions is we're on a goal and we're on a mission, basically. We're on a mission to basically raise money to raise mental health awareness. I mean, we're trying to take a different approach, get speakers out there, podcasters such as myself, such as my guest next week, Keegan Reed, the host of Retrieving Sanity. He will be here next week, 3 p.m. Today, we're waiting on our guest to join us today. He's running a little behind, I guess. I'm not sure. But it's okay. We're going to do this thing. We do it anyways. We roll anyways. 10 o'clock. Here we are. But anyways, I hope y'all doing great. Anyways, back to the podcast Revenges. But anyways, guys, we are working on raising up to $1 million or so to try and make new programs. We want to try and raise mental awareness, let people know that, mental health isn't talked about enough. And really it isn't. If you think about it, honestly, the subject is taboo depending on what it is. Our topic today is going to be a very taboo topic. We're going to talk about suicide today, actually. Sorry, guys, hold on. I'm a little technical difficulties here. So basically, we'll get in that in a minute. But anyways, it's funny we say suicide because the founder of our nonprofit, he actually lost his brother to suicide. Unfortunately, he had decided that was the choice he wanted to make, and unfortunately, it's just not a subject talked about enough. Honestly, guys, I think that people don't realize, that some of these subjects are very sensitive. So, obviously I'm normally live on TikTok at this time, but I muted the microphone there because it's not a subject that I could talk about there. It's very kind of like wishy-washy when it comes to these kind of things and stuff like that. But it's okay anyways. We'll get going here today. Forgive me, guys. I'm running a little behind this morning. I had some stats pulled up for suicide rates. I did look it up. So I did look up what the number one state for suicide was. And surprisingly, they said that Montana is actually the top rated state. And they said because the highest gun ownership. And actually, my guest is here today. Let's bring him in. The one, the only paging Dr. J is here. Dr. J, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So what's going on, brother? You doing okay this morning?
Oh yeah. Just running little crazy late. It was a long night.
That's all right, man. So Jay, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 51 years old. I enjoy the outdoors, hunting. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I like custom cars. I'm a dad of 3. I'm a grandfather of 5. Husband, everything. Yeah.
So Jay, let me ask you a question. Why is your name Paging Dr. J?
Oh, when I first got on there, I mean, it goes the Dr. J goes a long ways, quite a while back. It started out as like a joke or whatever. I'd always, um, you know, tell, say to my wife, years back, hey, you want to go play doctor and stuff like that. And so it kind of just stuck like that. And then when I went to go set up to do my TikTok and everything, apparently somebody else had the full thing. So I'm sitting there thinking, what could be catching? So I thought, um, well, actually, I was sitting in the ER one day and I heard across the intercom them paging a doctor and everything. So I'm like, you know what? Paging Dr. J. There we go. Pretty
That's
lame.
awesome.
Pretty lame, but eh, it is
Right.
what it is.
Right. And okay. So everybody who's wondering why Dr. J and I are here, we were having a conversation about suicide the other day. On we were live, but we had to use different words, obviously, because TikTok's a little sensitive when it comes to these things, And I pulled up some stats here, Jay. So we're going to just talk about them here, okay? It says
Okay.
on average, there's 135 suicide deaths every day in America. It says that men are die by suicide 3.8 times more often than women. It says that firearms are accounted for 54% of all suicide deaths in 2022. In 2022, there were 16 million suicide attempts. Isn't it insane?
It's very insane, and it's very shameful.
Isn't it?
It
What do you
is. I mean, um, that's why we all need to learn the signs of somebody suffering. Um, it's like I had mentioned to you the other day. That um, if if we can all become aware of the signs of somebody struggling with severe depression and everything, then even if it's one or two lives that are saved from the illness, it's still a big impact. Um, you're saving a soul. You're saving a family from the tragedy and everything like that. So um, we just all gotta learn the signs of it, and and be able to reach out, get the proper. I shouldn't say you really need proper tools or anything like that. You just need the act of kindness to be able to reach out.
Yeah. So I looked up the numbers, the top 7 is saying according to this search I have. I'm using Perplexity, which is an AI tool I've got from the nonprofit. It says depression disorder is the top rated one. It's saying 59% of all suicides, depression is the number one key factor. Can you guess what number 2 is?
Anxiety.
No, anxiety is actually number 6 on the list. It says, according to this search I did, Perplexity is saying that alcohol dependence or abuse is at 43% of suicide victims, following with substance abuse right afterwards.
Mm.
Then psychosis, personality disorders is number 5. 6 was actually anxiety disorder, and number 7 actually is eating disorders, which is an interesting one on that list if you think about it, because with eating disorders, it's just kind of not really talked about enough on that list. Honestly, think about it. How many people say, "Oh, well, they died because they didn't eat enough, or they starved themselves to death, or things like that," And it's crazy.
Right. Right. Well, it's like on my live, one of the first weeks that I was doing the TikTok live, um, I made like a little, kind of like a little chart. Um, I might still have it here, but what it was is, because I was trying to, try to prevent, bullying, um, because with bullying, especially nowadays with um, you know, how can I word the teenage bullying,
Yeah.
online bullying, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I get the correct term for that is cyberbullying nowadays.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I mean, I did like a circle where it starts out as a bullying, and then it goes to, the child's, a depression, and then
Hmm.
then it works on to, then they become independent. They become independent on substance, alcohol, drugs, all that stuff. And then from there on, when that's not even working, then then they resort to ending their, taking their life and everything. I mean, it's all different stages. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's different circumstances, where one might, feel like the end of the world, if they break up or a relationship or something like that. Um, you know, if say, I mean, I knew back when I was in high school, I knew a couple guys that took their own lives because their girlfriends, broke up with them. And, so I mean, there's a lot of different things, but, um, if we can,
I just
uh,
think, it's a lot of times it's harder for us to tell. For some people, just aren't educated. But I'm going to bring this comment back up really fast. Matt, which is a frequent watcher of the show, Matt is actually federal dad on TikTok. Really great guy. Love his comments. He says bullying is a huge problem even amongst adults, and it really is. It comes down to it. I think it's when it comes to kids, I don't think they do enough in school. Honestly, I actually was in a chat the other day with somebody, and they were talking about how their kid was getting bullied, and he literally had to show up to the school and literally was ready to go at it with somebody because he's like, forget this. Your kid, you're teaching your kid these habits and telling them that this is okay to pick on somebody else,
yep,
without thinking the result of what's going to happen. And with the internet, it's even worse now because now you can touch more people versus back in the day when we were younger. It was just a phone call, or they had to do it in person, or they had to come find it where you live and come harass you that way, and stuff like that. And it's just crazy though. It's just this like, and there's not enough being done about it. And when you bring it to the school's attention, a lot of times they don't do anything about it. They're like, oh well, we'll just talk to them about it. We're talking about it
yeah,
ain't enough, man.
exactly. I went through the same situation um, back in 2012. My son, he had a heart transplant,
Yikes.
and he was 7 years old at that time. So he missed half of a school year, due to being so fresh, not having an immune system and stuff like that. So he had to stay away from other students and stuff, as the time went on. But then we were able to enroll him into a summer school program. And he went to summer school, and all of a sudden he started coming home. I'd be picking him up and he'd be coming home and he'd be crying. And he didn't want to open up or anything about it at first. He didn't want to go back to school, back to the summer school or anything like that. And finally, I got it out of him, and I'm like, "What's going on, man?" And he goes, "Dad," he goes, "at recess, I'm getting called Frankenstein and everything." I'm like, "Why?" Just because I got a scar on my chest. I'm like, so who's saying that? Well, they're the kids on the playground, and he was saying that a few kids were saying that he had actually, or they said to my son, "Well, you killed somebody just to steal their heart and everything like that." That is right there pathetic.
And it's
Uh,
sad. It's really sad that's what they think because they don't know anything. And
exactly.
and I'm looking at some statistics here, guys. It says that 26.1% of bully victims are the highest rate amongst the rates I'm looking at right now for everything else for suicide victims. It's saying there's 16.5% was an interesting one for the bullies, and it says 21.8% for victims, which is it's just crazy because if you think about it, there's 16% for the bully too, man. It's like we look at the kids getting bullied, but the bully itself, man, that's kind of a crazy number too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, then after that whole situation, I finally I had my fill of it. I'm like, well, give it a couple of days, ignore the other kids. Don't feed into their crap or anything like that. Just be you. And
Yeah.
so he went, but then they started antagonizing him even more. Finally, I was fed up with it, and I went into the school. Um, it went and spoke with the principal and everything like that. And I told the principal right out, I'm like, I want you to call in these parents.
I do
She's
the
like,
same
well,
thing.
what's that going to do? I'm like, I'm going to educate them. She goes, well, how are you going to educate them? I said, I'm going to teach them that what they are doing to another child, what their kids are doing to another child, it's not because of his fault. And what they are claiming that he did is not true and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
that's not going to do anything. I'm like, well, then bring him in. Let me bully him. Well,
Exactly.
you know, they didn't do anything. I'm like, you know what? If you're not going to do a damn thing about it, I pulled my son right out of summer school.
I don't blame you though. It's ridiculous because I had to do the same problem. My daughter, she had a kid bullying her. I literally went down to school and had almost had the cops called on me because I was in there ready to start work. And I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. Like y'all aren't doing anything. Like she's
Oh
getting
yeah,
picked on because she was questioning her sexuality at the time too. She was like, "Oh, I might like girls, Dad. Okay, I don't love you any less. What the hell's that
right,
got anything?" Like I feel like she was so scared to tell me about it because she was like, "Oh, Dad, but I might like girls." Okay, and let me tell you right now, I don't care if you like girls, guys, whatever you like. It's up to you. That's totally your choice. I mean,
right,
she was still young at the time. She's still exploring the options of things, and she wasn't sure. And then this one kid got mad because it was one of her ex boyfriends, and we know how that dating works in the middle school range. It's not really dating; you're just kind of hanging out.
yep,
He was calling her all these nasty names and throwing stuff at her, and like they had cameras in their lunchroom, and I'm like, I got called and they were telling me about it. I came in like a bat out of hell, ready to start war. And the principal came in the room. I looked at her and I told her just to get the F out. I literally did. I'm like, was it probably the right way to do it? No, but I was mad at the time because I tried to call her and talk to her directly, left her several messages. She didn't respond. But all of a sudden I'm there. Now you can show up and just say, oh, okay, well, da, 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 this problem. No. You can leave the conversation now. You didn't want to be a part of this thing. I tried to bring it to your attention already. This gentleman right here, which was her individual principal, because they had so many kids, they split them up amongst the other kids, so they each had a principal they could go to. And the one, he was a single dad as well, so he understood exactly my stance on how mad I was. So it was nice to relate to somebody that knew what was going on. But I
yep,
literally told her to get the fuck out the room. I'm like, you got to get out. Sorry, sweetheart, but you got to go. You're not, and it wasn't even trying to be because she's a female. It's because the fact that she wasn't doing anything. Like you're not doing shit. Like you're doing absolutely nothing.
right.
And then she was talking about, like, oh, I'm getting picked on. And he was harassing her on Snapchat and stuff too, sending all these messages and these nasty things. I said, well, let me go pick on him for a little bit, see what he likes, see how he likes him. The guy was like, no, it's not right. I know it's not right, but I'm saying though, it's like she's being constantly harassed, being called names by this kid. And this kid just keeps getting disciplined and nothing happens to this kid. He doesn't do anything. His parents don't say nothing. I'm like, I'm about ready to ask for the address, show up to his house. And as my buddy DC I met on TikTok, he said, he's like, I'll go fight him. I'm like, I'm ready to go fight him too. Like, I'll take him
Right.
outside and fight him because at this point, what else are we going to do? Because you're not going to, my kid's not going to be put in that situation where she's going to think about it in your life because you're picking on her all the time. And I got bullied as a kid too.
Right.
Story time, real fun story. Nobody knows this. There's only very few people who know this story, but I got picked on really bad as a kid. And it wasn't that I did anything. That's the weirdest thing about it is I never did anything. I stayed with my group of friends, everything like this. There's one guy that was just antagonizing the hell out of me. So I flipped out one day, and I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but I said something. So then they started spreading rumors about me, saying that I had a hit list and this and that and stuff like that, and all this other crazy stuff. And it was such a small school; it spread so fast. It was horrible, man. It was just like I didn't do nothing to this person. I just kind of did my own thing, and, hung out my clique of friends and stuff like that. And it's just crazy, that you want to sit here and pick on me for no reasons and stuff like that. And I've been a victim of it. I know what it's like. It sucks. It's not fun.
I,
I think
I,
Matt's got a good point or two, exactly like you said. He said to automatically bring in parents in when bullying is involved. Period. Exactly.
yep, I agree with that 100%. But I think a lot of it is these schools, um, the school board, and everything like that. I think what they are, when it comes down to it, is they want to avoid it. They want to close their eyes on it and pray that it goes away, but it's never going to go away. You
It's just
know,
getting worse.
childhood suicide is up way higher than it is for adult, and it's due to the bullying.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is, and it's just insane. Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. I'm using this. I love this perplexity thing. It's so great. It's so nice.
At least that was the last time I checked. The
We're gonna look
stats
at it
and
right now.
everything
Okay,
like
so it's saying child's thoughts and behaviors, STBs. And well, I think it understood my question. But okay, really quick, let's cover what Matt said right here. Matt said Kelly had to show up to school because her child was being bullied and the schools don't do crap. And you're right. You're right, Matt. I seen your comment. I was trying to get to it, but he's not wrong. Like Jay just said, like they're not doing anything about these problems that we're having. And it's like when is it going to be enough, man? That is somebody going to have to bring it to the news and start bringing it to light? Because I threatened to bring the news station, and I've got friends in news stations and stuff like that. That I'm like, I'll call up these couple of these guys I know in these medias and see what they say about it and bring them in here and bring shed some light in this. And then all of a sudden they didn't want to talk to me.
Well,
So
yeah, it's a crazy thing. I mean, because even after all of that,
okay, so Jay, here's your point. Okay, here you go. Jay, the exact what it says according to my search, it says from 10 to 14, suicide rates have tripled from 2007 to 2018, according to these stats that I have right now. It went from 0.9 to 2.9 per every 100,000 kids.
yep,
That's insane.
yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's terrible. And that's why, it may not be it may not be the answer, um, for it, but and that's why, you know, if you see somebody getting bullied and everything like that, if you're an adolescent, or even if you're in, you know, grade school or whatever, and you see another child being bullied, whether it's because of the way they look, the way they
Yeah.
smell,
A lot
their
of times it's a
gender.
clothing thing too. It's like, oh, you're not wearing these new
Yeah,
brand new clothes and all these cool, really fashion things that are just not even they're
yeah,
all fad items if you're thinking about it's all a fad at that point.
yep. I mean, because the point that I'm trying to get across is, back when I was in school, I'm going to admit I was not a saint,
Yeah, me
but
either.
the one thing I was not is I was not a bully.
Yeah.
I was actually I was in a lot of fights, and I was actually the one that would, pardon the language, kick the shit out of the bullies.
Yeah.
Um, just because, I don't, somebody can't help how, especially if you're, a child or whatever, you can't always help, your living conditions or whatever. If you're getting a shower every day, or if you're getting fed every day or whatever, that 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 goes on to us parents. But um, you know, if everybody, can just, see the signs of it, if you see a kid, that's moping around school or whatever, hey, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, what are you up to? Or, start talking to them, because everybody has a story
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And you never know, you might become the greatest friends. And another thing too, by doing that, you could also reach out, and you could be saving that person, from whatever is going through their mind and everything like that. But the act of kindness, you know, like we had discussed, pay it forward, plow it
Mm-hmm.
forward, all that stuff. Um, we just, especially nowadays, we all, as people, we all need to recognize all the different signs of somebody struggling on the inside. I had said to my chat, um, a while back, that you have these movie stars and everything like that. They go to school. Excuse me. They go to school for acting and everything like that. But what people don't really realize
Yeah.
is we are all natural born actors. We are good at putting up a fake front
Yeah.
on the outside, but inside we're emotionally torn apart
Yeah.
and everything. And that's where the acting comes in play.
Yeah. My guest last Monday, it's funny you say acting, like we said, she was an actor too. She's an actor, screenwriter, all that kind of stuff. She talked about it a little bit too. Matt was there for that conversation with her and stuff like that. And it's just like think of the psyche, like when because we talked about that. Like think about when you put something out there as an actor, man. Like people are gonna harshly criticize it. And like you have to be prepared for what's going to be said next, man, because it's a bitch. The internet's a bitch. Let's be honest here, man.
Yep.
It's horrible. Like everybody has an opinion and they're going to share it regardless of how they feel and everything else like that, and things like that. And it's crazy though. And and like Matt says here too, by the way, I'd seen his comment meaning to get to it. He said, I got picked on a lot too for being a military child and constantly with Matt. I moved around a lot too as a kid, man. I was in and out of schools all the time. My dad moved a lot because it's his job and things like that. So I've been all over the place. I think the only stable amount of years I stayed in any school was elementary school. I stayed all the way to sixth, and then I moved around a lot from junior high on. And then my last 3 years of high school, I stayed finally, and that's where I was. But yeah, it's hard too because when you keep moving, you're the new kid in school, so assumptions already running right there. Go, oh, what's the story? It's a new kid, and things like that. And it's just crazy, man. It's just this constant need to pick on each other about the stupidest things possible, and it's just like let's stop. Like, and it's like I think there should be harsher punishments, honestly, for people that are bullying kids
Hmm.
because the outcome is not ending well for any of us, honestly, at this point and stuff like that.
No, it's not. I mean, I mean, with the bullying and everything like that, that's where they become, um, scarred for the rest of their life. That's where the anxiety, the depression, and everything like that, it all comes into play. The chemical dependency and everything.
Hmm.
It all goes back to, um, to being bullied and everything. I mean,
Hmm.
I can relate to Matt.
Me
Um,
too.
when I was younger, probably this, oh boy, kindergarten through I think third grade, I was picked on. I mean, I was called names. I was one of the taller kids, real skinny. I got called frog legs and everything like that. And it got old after a while, and then I started getting into fights, defending myself and everything. Was getting my butt kicked at that young age and stuff because the majority of it was from older kids. And finally, my dad got sick of me coming home with black eyes, bloody nose, and everything. And he put me in boxing and stuff like that. And but then once I started bulking up and everything, that's when the bullying pretty much stopped towards me and everything. And that's where I kind of stepped up to make an impact towards others getting bullied.
Yeah. Yeah, real
But
quick, guys. So why Joel's name is here on the screen. Happy birthday, by the way, Joel. I told him that he said hello to me on the show. We'd say happy birthday to him real fast. Not to
happy
cut
birthday,
Mac off.
Joe.
Not to cut off Dr. J over there. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I know he said he'd come by and say hello to us. But happy birthday, brother. Hope you're doing well. But Matt had a really great point here, though. Again, Matt, you're just dropping knowledge on me and Jay here are loving these points you got here, man. He said bullying is a part of society. It's in politics, the news, it's everywhere.
Exactly. Especially in the politics nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. God, that's horrible. Y'all ever watch C-SPAN before? Like, and watch them just argue about the stupidest things possible? It's like, guys, is this what we're choosing to do with our time? Like, you're supposed to be doing things for us, but you're not. And it's like, especially when it came to like Harris and she was calling people trash. It's like, there's no need for that. Like
No,
everybody's vote matters, man. It's like, why are you gonna discard somebody for their opinion on how they feel about things? And I think
you know,
that's the worst example of being a leader is like why are you going to do that? Like why conduct yourself like that?
exactly. And I mean, it's not just, Harris. I mean, it's both sides.
Well, I
It,
agree, but Harris was the
it,
one of the most notable recently because she called everybody trash because they had
yeah,
their own opinions. I mean,
yeah. And yeah, calling, kids, stupid and all that,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's, I hate politics.
I do too. It's the biggest divider, I think, of conversational pieces of people because like people get in the start talking about it, and then it just causes so much friction because one side doesn't agree with the other, and then they want to start fighting people.
Yep,
And then the whole center around that was people were getting bullied because they were picking Harris over Trump. I mean, like everybody's
exactly,
welcome to their own opinion.
exactly.
I won't have politic conversations. with A lot of people like I'll make a joke about it maybe here and there, but that's it because it's a very sensitive subject for people.
Yep,
Like they get into it and they're just like, oh. I'm like,
yep,
guys, it's
yep,
okay to have your own opinion. I agree. I understand that we don't agree with the other side and their thing, and it's okay. Welcome to Welcome to debating. You're not going to agree with everybody's opinion on things. You may not like people's sport team choices.
There's a
I don't like the
difference,
Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't mean I have to hate all of them.
you know. But I mean, there's a big difference between um I lost
No,
train
you're
of thought.
good. Sorry. Anyways, we were talking about bullying in general in high school. You were talking about how you bulked up and then you became the defender for everybody, for all the kids that were getting picked on too.
Yep. Yeah. Um, you know, it probably sounded like, Peter Pan, thing story, or a Robin Hood story, or whatever you want to call it. But it really wasn't, because, I ended up getting into a lot of trouble with that. Um, so then I took it into different ways on helping others, becoming, um, less bullied.
Less victim, yeah. Be less being
Yeah,
a victim and more being stand up for themselves and know that somebody's there to help them. Yeah, I get that completely. And that's
exactly.
the hard part, man. Is that a lot of times kids are getting picked on. No one's there defending them because they just don't like them because they're small or they don't like their clothes, or like you said, some don't get a shower because they don't know what their home life is like. I
Right,
had a friend in high school. He got picked on a lot too because he was less fortunate than everybody else. His mom didn't have all the money in the world, and she was a single mom taking care of her brother, him and his brother, and everything else. And it was just like people don't care about all these details. They just want to pick on people because they feel like it makes them better. It
right,
doesn't. It makes you an asshole, and it's not a great thing.
right. Yeah, it absolutely. So then, I mean, I made, and to this day, um, I've made some of the greatest friends that were, what we would call, nerds or geeks back in school and stuff like that. Um, but like I was, you know, getting to was, me as being a defender of those getting bullied and stuff like that. That made me, by me attacking the bullies, that actually made me look just as guilty as the bullies, because here I'm bullying them, even though in my mind I'm thinking I'm teaching them a lesson, but I was bullying the bullies. So it didn't make me any better of a person. So, kind of definitely, it definitely helped with, my dad putting me in boxing and everything like that, because then I got to take my aggression out in a boxing ring.
Yeah, you learn discipline and things like that. And I know martial arts are good for that too for a lot of people,
Yep,
especially younger kids too. It's really good too.
yep, yep, absolutely. And I mean, even like now, I have 5 grandkids. Um, three of them, three of them are in school, grade schools and everything. I have a granddaughter that's 8 years old. She's on the chunkier side, and every time I see her, I ask her how's school going. I'll ask her, I'll joke with her and say, how many boyfriends you got? And she'll be, Papa, I don't have no boyfriends. Um, but then there's a part of her that kind of, shies away from certain things, and she's mentioned that, she's been, picked on, by the monkey bars and stuff like that, because, well, she struggles trying to get up the bars or whatever. I told her right out, I'm like, you know what? The best thing to do is, if they're going to be calling you names or whatever, just ignore them. Just it's like the old saying, kill with kindness. Just smile at them and say, yeah, I know, whatever. Just be proud of who you are. Don't
Exactly.
worry about what other people have to say negative to you or anything like that. If you let them see that it's bothering you, it's just gonna get them to antagonize you even more, and it's gonna get more kids involved in the picking on you process and everything. But if you if you show that, hey, it's not going to bother you, you're not going to let them rain on your parade and everything. They'll get bored of it. They'll eventually, find something else, to do or whatever. And yeah, she smiled at me. It's a big old smile when I told her that. And to this day, she does it. I mean, even like when I joke around with her, or whatever, she uses it back at me. She'll just smile at me and go, "Papa, you're goofy," and everything. So I mean,
Yeah, that's good to teach them now. Then later, they start to learn to just stop listening to other people and what they say. I mean, some people are just not happy with themselves, and they get that mentality from their parents. But you're teaching her the right things to know, and it sounds like she's applying them, which is great because that way she can't be a number; she could be against the numbers.
yep. Oh,
Because
I agree with that 100%.
I just think it's just crazy, man. Because it's like it starts with the little kids, and then goes to the older kids, and then they start picking on little kids, and it's just I
Yep,
just don't think enough's being done about it. And I think it goes to say with a lot of stuff like that, we don't know everybody's home life. Some kids are troubled at home. I get all that. But at the same time, it's like we need to start cracking down on this stuff because if we start teaching them now, later on, we'll avoid this being a statistic because the numbers are insane.
absolutely.
As after what we just looked at, it's crazy. And then I'm looking at them by state too, and it's saying Wyoming actually. I said Montana in the beginning, but Wyoming is actually the number one state with the most highest rates amongst 100,000 people at 33%. And we're looking at 33 and actually one and every 100,000 people in Wyoming are the number one. Montana is number two, Alaska's three, New Mexico four, Colorado's five. And then it goes on to like South Dakota right after that, Oklahoma, Nevada, Vermont, and Idaho.
Yep.
And it's insane when you're looking at these numbers because it's like what are we doing about this problem? Nothing. That's the issue that we're not doing enough. And that's why this whole show exists is that we're trying to break the stigma of the conversation about mental health in general. But I mean, like suicide's a big topic for a lot of people that don't want to talk about it, or
Yep.
it's a hard topic for people to understand, or it's hard statistics to look at for people because it's like it happens more than people realize. Like especially being a male, we males we're 3 to 4 times more likely to do it than girls, man, and it's crazy. It's like,
Absolutely.
and in the age range, I think it cut off at 34. It said it's most likely it's right there in that range with 82 being the highest. I mean, okay, getting that old, I don't know the mentality state, but you're getting old, you start losing yourself in certain situations. It's still not an okay number, but it's crazy, but not shocking to me. But the one that really hit me was like right there, that 34 to 10 range. I'm just like, ooh, man, that's too
Yep.
close to me. That's too close to me because I'm going to be 40 this year, and it's just like, ugh,
You're young.
yeah, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a statistic like with the way those numbers are looking. It's
Right.
just crazy, man. It's just the craziest things ever that I've ever seen in my life. It's just like when you start really looking at the number, it's insane, because people are not educated enough on what to look for.
Right. And it really doesn't take much to see the signs of somebody struggling. There's there if a person can tell by um you know watching their physical reactions. Somebody struggling with anxiety is going to be more jumpier,
Hmm.
more moving around per se. Um, but
Well,
somebody.
according to
Oh,
my
good.
search, it says expressing feelings of being burdened is one of them on the list. Let's see, giving away prized possessions. I know it also said saying goodbye to people with that one as well. Say withdrawing from family and social activities, expressing the feeling of hopelessness, worthlessness, or being trapped.
Yep.
Which it's like it's a lot of these things people don't think of. A lot of things people are saying changing sleeping, eating patterns, loss of interest in appearance or hygiene as well.
Yep.
And as always, guys, if you notice somebody with those, text 988, which is the suicide and crisis lifeline. There's people trained to handle all this kind of stuff, and don't take it upon yourself as if you don't, you're not an expert at this thing, but these guys are trained to do that. So if you think somebody needs help or somebody needs help, guys, just text that number. And there was a funny story. I found out why they changed it because they said that all the people don't want to type all the numbers. So, I mean, it makes sense nowadays. So it's just simple. Just text or call at 988. Boom, they'll instantly connect you with somebody. Don't let somebody become a statistic if you start noticing any of those kind of things. Because we don't want that. We want people to go the other direction. We want them to be the good side of the statistics and things like that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, there is a lot of groups out there. There's a lot of different programs
Mm-hmm.
out there. That people are, they're willing to reach out. They're even willing to come to you, so you don't have to go to them, because a lot of people that are struggling with severe anxiety, depression, and
Yeah,
everything. They don't want to leave their houses. So there is these, like you said, there's trained people out there. They'll come to you and everything. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Um, you know, I'm struggling with depression right now, as a matter of fact,
yeah,
because being laid off of work and everything. Um, you know, Battling through what we discussed and everything. So I mean, um, it's tough, but I try to put on the front. I try to um, stay busy, but then I find myself at a time where here's a sign for people too to look for, is somebody losing interest in something. Somebody that's just sitting watching TV. They don't want to go anywhere. They lost all interest in things, and I'm trying to push myself out there and
yeah.
everything. I know the season has a lot to do with it. Wintertime, the rates are way higher and everything. But um, all the different signs. Um, you know, all the signs are there. A person just needs to be able to um, reach out, and not be afraid to say what's on their mind or anything. Not be afraid to reach out for the help and everything. I mean, it's confidential, unless you want to share a group session with friends or family or whatever.
It's funny you
But
say group therapy, though, by the way, Jay. Matt has just said that NAMI is an amazing organization for group therapy.
I never heard of NAMI.
I've neither, but it's great. Like I said, Matt dropping these nuggets of knowledge here. I love it. We're
That's
definitely gonna get Matt on this show one time, guys. I promise. We are planning on getting him here. We're gonna get him on here. You guys can all meet the man with these great comments that he's making.
Absolutely. That's really amazing.
Yeah, he's great. I'm telling you, Matt's a real great person. I met him through his better half, Kelly, who's on the show actually too. And I sent him a direct message out live right on the show. I told him, invited him to come on, and at first he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it or not, and he's reconsidered it. So, like I said, we'll get him on here eventually. We'll get him fit in here. And the next person I get out that it can't make their recorded booking, trust me, we're getting him in here because we want to put a face to the words that we're using. So I'm looking up ways to help people. By the way, it says that they're asking him the direct question: Are you thinking about suicide? It says that this is a non-judgmental dialogue and does not increase suicidal thought, because it's basically they're saying it's a supportive comment because you're asking him, "Hey, are you thinking about it?" Like, it's just like if you ask, "Hey, how's your mental health?" to people. Think about it. The way they look at it from that aspect is they go, "Oh, okay, hold up." You're not just saying hi to somebody. You're really unlocking more thoughts in their head because they're thinking, "Oh, whoa, hold on. He just asked me how my mental health is. He didn't just say, hey, how is how am I doing?" Because we can ask that question all day, but you're not going to get you're going to get an answer to that. You're just going to get to kind of half an answer for that.
Right.
Oh, Matt's just commented something. Hold on, we're going to see what he said. Dun, dun, dun. He says that it has many free resources for people. There you go. That's awesome. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed his first comment. National Alliance on Mental Health Illness is what Matt's telling us. And so he said it's a great resource, has a lot of free resources for people in case anybody ever wants or needs any help or wants some advice on something, needs to look at something. Matt right here has provided us with a great resource. I'll get their website. I'll tag it in this video here too, so you guys have it in this live in case any of y'all missed this or you're watching this at a later time. You missed the live. I will put their website down below in the links. So that way y'all can get it too. Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate the comments. And it's just it's hard when it comes to that because a lot of people don't know what to do in that situation because when people say that, it's like you're not sure if they're serious or not. And it's like, oh,
Oh,
hold up, wait a minute, how do I take this serious?
you know, I, I mean, it's like the story that I shared with you
Mm-hmm.
the other day about my best friend, my childhood best friend.
Yep. And that's
Um,
what prompted me to invite you to come on because I was like, we need to talk about this.
yeah. Um, we were best friends since early years at grade school. He was like when I first came to um my school district that I was in up here in Wisconsin, Stevens Point School District. He was actually one of my first friends, and throughout grade school, throughout junior high, senior high, we were best of friends. After high school, we were roommates and everything. Um, Partied a lot, and he was always the happy-go-lucky jokester. Um, always wanting to help, give a helping hand. He was always the one that you thought that uh, he had the answer for everything. He always had a smile on his face. And then I was out plowing snow here. I want to. I'm trying. I think it was 5 years ago now. I was plowing snow because I was in business for myself, and I got a phone call from his wife, and she had told me that he ended his life. And
Man, I'm sorry. That's a hard call in general, man. That's just got to be a rough one.
it, yeah, I mean, I, I'm still in shock.
Yeah.
And it's still, I mean, this this dude here, he was not, he was my best friend. He was my brother. He was everything. I mean, we were so much fun together, and you know, all the things that were rolling through my head, and the first thing that popped into my mind was why. Why you know why wasn't I there to help him? Why did he do this? There's all them questions that you're asking yourself, and you never do find the real reason of why. um and you learn from that experience, and you learn how to, it basically, it makes you open your eyes, and helps you know what to look for. um you, with somebody struggling with depression, anxiety, substance abuse.
PTSD is another big one too. Substance
Yeah.
abuse, a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, it's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, another example too, like you brought up a good point, PTSD. When I was in a motorcycle club, we hung out with quite a few clubs here in Wisconsin, and one of them was a military club. And I tell you what, a lot of the guys that are in the military club and everything, the they fought in Iraq and
Yeah.
Afghanistan and everything. I mean, they saw some gruesome stuff,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and then they come back, and a lot of them are on disability because they can't function properly because of all the flashbacks and everything from the PTSD.
Or the sounds that set it off and certain trigger things
Yeah,
that set it off. Yeah.
yeah, and I have a friend that suffering with it, and is on disability because of it. He cannot stand 4th of July.
Is he military too?
He was military, yes.
Hey, there's a great organization. One of my first guests on the show, his name is, I'm trying to think now, it's Teddy Colgate. He was a part of a thing called Heroes Outreach. It's for guys that are meant for people with PTSD that were in the military. He might want to check it out and see maybe they can help him out. Help him get over the hating of 4th of July and things like that. And maybe he can help somebody else too in the end. You never know.
Sure.
I'll send you
Yeah.
all the information. It's just heroesoutreach.org. I believe that their website is. I'll find out what it is and I'll send it to you though. But he was great though, man. He came on and said the same thing. But what Teddy has just told us is he had PTSD and he had a traumatic brain injury as well. And what had happened is Teddy was overseas and he said that they blew up his Humvee, flipped this thing straight over, like right over ass over end. And he was like, yeah, we ended up, he's like, I was out cold for 15 minutes straight. He said somebody was trying to wake me up. And he's describing this to me, and I'm just like, whoa, man. I'm like, you feel like you're there when the way Teddy was describing this. And he was like, yeah, they're trying to get me to come to. And he's like, I had to come to and act like everything was okay because he was the commanding officer of the group. And he was like, well, I had to act like everything was okay, because the fact that, I'm in charge of these guys, I don't want them to see weakness and all that. And when he came back, the funny thing was that Teddy pointed out is that when he got a psych eval coming back over from there, they were telling him he was okay because they didn't even look at his results. And that's sad, really. It's like he'd been through all that, everything like that. And you take the time to give him a psych eval, and you didn't even look at his results when he came back. You just ignored him and looked at his first set and said, "Oh no, you're okay, you're good, you're still
Right.
good." And Teddy was like, "No, hell no, man." He's like, "There's something wrong," and that's what he ended up getting with Heroes Outreach to start helping other people that have PTSD because he's like, "This is ridiculous." He's like, "We've gone through all this, and now you're just telling us, oh, we're okay." And you're
Yep.
not looking at the results when we come back. So how many other people are there doing that to that are in worse situations than he was? Because Teddy was like, for him to go to the store and come back and just do everyday things. And I'm sure your buddy can relate to this one. It's probably just the hardest thing ever. It drains him mentally. He's like, all right, I'm done for the day. I can't do anything else. And it's like, people don't realize how bad PTSD is for these guys, man. Like they go over there and it's like, oh, let's do war. Okay, so are you looking at what the aftermath is going to be? No, you're not. You're not looking at that, dude. Like you ask somebody from World War II or Vietnam, it was like, oh, they'll tell you, man, it's not. It's all exciting to say you want war, but are you the one that's going over there to do these things? Are you the one having to take somebody else's life? No, man, you're not. You got to take another person's life and be okay with that and live with that the whole time.
Yep.
And especially with Afghanistan and all the other places on Iraq and all that, it was children that were coming after people too. They had bombs strapped to them and things like that. So, like, are you prepared for that? No, you don't
Yep.
care because you're not the one going over there. You're sending other people over there and going, oh no, it's okay. They'll go take care of it for us. No, man. Like people
And-
don't look at the aftermath or this what's going to happen afterwards. It's just crazy.
Yep. And it's funny that you mentioned that about, the children and everything, because, being around that club, I've heard, some of the stories. And a few of the guys have said the worst feeling in the world is seeing somebody, that's 8, 9, 10 years old, that's strapped up, that's willing to, um, blow themselves
Yeah.
up and
God, man. Can you
everything.
just imagine the
Yeah.
conviction you had to do to convince a kid to explain to them, hey, listen, you're about to give your life up. And I'm not sure what they tell these kids. And I'd be very interested to know what they're telling them. But they're so strongly engaged in it that they're like, okay, let's go for it. It's like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's children. Nobody thinks about it being children being involved in these things. And then you go over there, it's a whole other ideal system than ours. And it's crazy, man. Like these kids come over here trying to kill you. It's you or them. That's basically what it comes down to. It's either which one of us is going down, me or them.
Yep.
And a lot of those guys have to make those split decisions, just like cops have to make that decision too. When they pull that gun out, they've got to decide in a split second what they're going to do next. Because and I'm trying to find an officer to come on here and talk about that because the mental process of that alone has got to be very interesting. Because like the thoughts racing through your head at the time, you have a split second to decide whether or not you're going to do what you're going to do next with that because you don't know if that person pulling a gun on you is going to shoot or not. And I think they
Absolutely.
get harshly criticized for everything that goes on out there. And people don't realize it's like, listen, man, you're not in that situation. Like I've been rubbed at gunpoint before. I remember what it was like. I still have horrors. It still torments me to this day. Like certain situations, I'll just start like getting real paranoid and start looking around the room, and start watching. I'm always constantly watching the parking lot where I work all the time because I'm looking for stuff and people think it's a joke. I'm like, listen, once you've had a gun put to your head and your chest, then you tell me what you think about it. Okay. Then we'll talk about this situation. You can tell me, oh, I would have done this differently, but were you there? No, shut up because you weren't.
Yep.
Okay. I was there. I had another person's life and with me. There was another person with me too. And I was lucky, that nothing happened to them or me. And then when it happened, it was so slow motion. Like they would literally come over the counter and it's like, because the way the setup was, is like we had a window, the door was here. Okay. And then there's another side and the other side. So the back door was open. And we all argued that the back door shouldn't have been open in the neighborhood we were in. But it got so bad is that, they had come through the back door, jumped the counter of the little kitchen that was to the right of where I was standing, and they came over there. And in my mind, this is going real slow. Like, I'm like, this is really happening. And it's like, it's happening so fast in reality, but really you're seeing it so slow. And it's like, then the next, you got a gun against your head. And it's like, oh shit, man, what do you do next? Like, it's like you can train people all day, but are you ready for that situation? No, you're not, because you start going fight or flight mode. Like, you're
Oh,
not sure what to do, man. And it's easy to tell people, oh, well, hey, just give them everything you want. Hey, this guy's got a gun to my head and my chest, man. What are you talking about giving them? Well, they can have everything in the store. I don't care what they want. They can take it all. And it was crazy because at the time my ex and I were together. I had a little one at home. And she was just really young at the time, and it's like that's all you can think about is that flash in your head the whole time. And then after that, I had the worst. I had the worst anxiety when I came back, because then it was like I just had flashbacks. Like I was standing in the same spot, and I just kept looking over my shoulder, constantly looking at the door, freaking out. And it's like I can only imagine what these guys deal with, but I couldn't even tell you what half those guys are thinking, because you're like they have flashbacks and things like that. And I can't think of the country singer song. But there's a guy who did a really good video about it. If I can remember what it is, I'll have to let you know. But he did a real good representation of what it was like. The guy came back from over there, or the one about the American Sniper guy. That one too was an interesting movie.
yep.
It's just like, could you just imagine the thoughts going through his head as he's having to take out people left and right like that? It's just like,
Yep.
oh, Chris Kyle. There you go. That's what I'm thinking. Chris Kyle is the guy's name I'm thinking of. Chris Kyle is the guy I'm thinking of, the one, the American Sniper guy. And it's just
Mhm.
like, man, like poor Chris, man. I wonder now, after talking to Teddy, if that's the same thing they did to Chris. He went over and he came back, and they basically just avoided the fact that he had a lot of PTSD from all these things he was doing over there.
Yep.
And I think that we need to push harder for more better treatment for our soldiers that have been in war and stuff. Like, they need a full psych eval workup, and like we need to really look at what we can do to help these guys coming back, because some of the things they've seen over there are just will make your skin crawl.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why, you know, that's why I had started, the program that I had did um when I was in business for myself, called, Plow It Forward, like
Yeah.
I told you. Um, and we both, discussed that even if you don't see somebody um struggling on the outside and everything like that, just a simple act of kindness goes a long way.
It does. It really does.
Um, you could be adding another day to somebody's life by doing something nice, because they might have it in their head that, hey, you know what, today is worth going. Today's worth living and
Mhm.
everything. And if we could get everybody, even if it's just, you know, something simple, saying, hey, you know what, Pete, you have some beautiful hair.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean, man. That's what I'm saying, man. Because I told you that's how I close the show out all the time. It's to be kind to people, basically. Um, you could say one thing to make their day. Hey, I like your shirt. Hey, I like this. Hey, I like that. Hey, I like your hair color. It's really cool. Right
You
there,
know?
you can make somebody feel like they're being seen again. And a lot of times that's what it is. A lot of people I talk to say that they feel like they haven't been seen, or they feel like they're not being noticed, or they're a burden, or they just like feel like there's nowhere to go. And it's Stephanie last week, actually, she was talking about, she was standing over the cliff, actually, actually the cliff in Hawaii. She was talking about considering jumping off on it and that one too. And we got in that discussion for a little bit. It was a great conversation. She was telling us about it and stuff like that. And it's like, it's hard to tell, like you said, with your friend, you don't have an idea what he was thinking of at the time. But from all you guys knew, he was the happiest person to go. And a lot of times that's what it is. A lot of people present this, there's just everything's fine. And then really we don't know what they're thinking about in the back scene. And it's hard. I think that's the hardest part, is just, trying to help somebody that needs help. They're afraid to ask help. And that's the problem. I think we need to break that whole stigma too about asking for help, man. But there was a video I posted on TikTok really quick. There's a gentleman named Sean that was on this show. He had brought up, he said, sometimes the family members don't want to help you, even though they know you need help. And that's a great thing. Like I said, the suicide prevention hotline number 988 is there, man. If you feel like you don't have any help, there's help. There's somebody there that can help you, talk to you, try and get you some help. Or like Matt said, the National Alliance on Mental Health has great resources. There's resources out there. We
definitely.
just need to make sure people know where to find these resources. It's great to have all these things, but we need people to know that they're there and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And also, too, for the viewers and everything too, that are struggling, if you don't feel comfortable, reaching out to these programs or whatever, um, even visit your local fire departments, your local PDs and everything like that, and just wanting to talk to somebody because they've seen a lot of
Hmm.
hard things, and they know what you're going through. um they're not just there to put out a fire or um rescue somebody from an accident or arrest somebody. They're there, a public servant,
Hmm.
and they're there to help you, and to reach out and get the help that you desire, that you need, or just making a friend and talking to somebody. It's all free. There's no cost at all. um you know there's programs that in order to keep the doors open, we'll ask, hey, um any small donation, it'll go a long ways, to help um get our outreach pushed out further. It, any small donation will help us, be able to help the next person and everything like that, even if it's $1.
Hmm.
you know but I mean, the biggest thing with the bullying, depression, anxiety, PTSD, um all that, you know none of us know another person's story unless you really sit down with that person and really listen to them. Let them, don't give the advice right away. Let them talk, because opening up about your situation, first off, that really helps, because that's where the anxiety comes in place. Is you have all this stuff built up on the inside of
Hmm.
you, and you don't know how to let it out. By just opening up and talking to somebody, whether it's even if it's your child or her spouse or whatever. Um, just communication is the biggest thing when it comes to um, wanting to get this, you know get the monkey off your back or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of outreach programs out there, and it's to the simplest things of, like I said, your fire department, um, police departments, sheriff's departments, whatever. They're all there to help you too. And
Yep.
you never know. You and you never know. I mean, you can make a lifelong best friend
Hmm.
and everything. But we as individuals, we all need to, um, learn the signs of what to look for when somebody's struggling, and just um, the random act of kindness. Pay it forward, plow it forward. Um, be kind. Even one simple compliment, um, you know, it goes a long way
It does.
in somebody's life. And by doing that, you can make a very good impact in somebody's everyday life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete versus Anxiety. Dr. J, I appreciate you coming by, man. This is always a great conversation. Guys, if you want to visit Dr. J, he's on TikTok at Paging Dr. J. Come by and talk to him. He's a great conversation. He'll talk to you. He'll show off some of his little artworks he's working on. Jay's got some arts and crafts skills over there. Don't let him sleep on you now. This man can do some painting over there. He was doing a really cool gnome painting the other day for us. So, but as always, y'all know where. Oh, look, he's going to show it to us real quick. Go ahead, Jay. Show it to us. Check this out. This is what he was working on live.
I completed it.
Look at that. That's what I'm saying. See, Dr. J is always on doing something, working on some kind of arts and craft thing. Go by and tell him, said hi, tell him you saw him on the show. It's always great. Guys, it's always, you know where to find me, Pete versus Anxiety. And I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm everywhere like Visa, everywhere you want me to be and everywhere you don't want me to be. Okay. I'm there. All right. I'm on TikTok as well. If y'all want to come on by, stop by and hang out sometime during the week. I will be back at 3 o'clock with my guest, the lead singer, Hunter. We're going to get her perspective on mental health. It'll be great to see you. And once again, Dr. J, I appreciate you coming by, man. It's always great talking to you. I
Thank you
appreciate you
for
coming
having
on
me.
here and sharing the stories about your friend and everybody else. It was great, man. I really do.
Thank you for having me.
And also shout out to Matt in the comments. Matt, I definitely need to get you on here as soon as possible, man. I love all your comments, all your help, all the information you're giving people. It's great. And guys, as always, like Dr. J and I were saying, it costs nothing to be kind to somebody. Any kind of act you do can and save somebody's life, or hell, you can even make their day, guys. Until next time, I'm Pete from Pete's Society saying, guys, take care of your mental health.